The endless stretch of stars outside Sentinel-9 looked peaceful. Lieutenant Mara Vex knew better. Space was never truly quiet. It only seemed that way until something went wrong. She sat at her usual post in the main operations room, her eyes flicking between data streams and sensor displays. Her fingers moved quickly but calmly, adjusting dials, checking readings, marking small anomalies. The station orbited near the edge of the Andromeda expanse, far from any populated systems. It was a lonely place. The Empire called it a defensive listening post, but most of the crew just called it forgotten. Mara didn't mind. She preferred distance from people, from politics, from noise. Out here she could focus, think clearly, until tonight. Her monitor blinked. It was subtle, barely a pulse. An object had entered the station's outer scan range. No identification tag, no transponder, no signal, just motion. She frowned and tapped the screen. Readings streamed in mass unknown, speed inconsistent, origin unlisted. It wasn't a ship from any known sector, and it was heading straight for them. "Commander Ryle," she called across the room. The commander didn't look up. He was busy arguing with a junior officer about fuel ration reports. "Commander," she repeated, louder. He turned, clearly annoyed. "What is it now, Lieutenant?" She turned the monitor toward him. "Unregistered vessel, no signal, approaching fast. Trajectory puts it within 20,000 clicks in under 3 hours. He squinted at the screen, then rolled his eyes. "It's probably a rogue mining drone or a drifting cargo hauler. Debris does weird things near the void zone." "It's not debris," she said. "It's moving under control. No drift, no tumble. It's too clean." The commander sighed. "Flag it for tracking. If it gets closer, we'll send a drone. But don't wake up half the station over a ghost blip." He turned back to his conversation. Mara leaned back, staring at the screen. The object continued its steady approach. It wasn't emitting any signals, no engine noise, no heat trace, but it was moving directly towards Sentinel-9. She ran a diagnostic on the station's sensor grid. No errors. The reading was real. Around her, the rest of the crew carried on like normal. Some laughed. A few played cards at the far table. A maintenance tech walked by sipping cold, rehydrated coffee. She felt the strange stillness creep in. That deep, quiet warning her gut always gave her just before things went wrong. She tagged the object manually in the system. UN known Delta 1. The computer beeped and marked it with a red icon on the station's long-range tactical display. The odd part wasn't that it was unregistered. That happened now and then. The real problem was that it wasn't slowing down. At this speed it would pass dangerously close, possibly within sensor array range. Even a glancing collision would do serious damage. She opened a channel. "Unidentified vessel. This is Imperial Station Sentinel-9. You are entering a restricted security zone. Respond immediately and change course." Silence. She repeated the message on all standard frequencies. Still nothing. The red icon moved a few pixels closer on the screen. She adjusted the zoom. The ship, if it was a ship, was still just a blurred shape. No outline, no hull signature. The Empire required all ships to carry registration beacons. Even pirates usually faked one. This ship had none. She pulled up archive records from the last few months. A few similar anomalies had been recorded. Ships appearing, approaching quietly, then vanishing before contact. Most were written off as sensor errors, some as space weather, but some had no explanation at all. She filed a formal alert and sent it to the commander's queue, even though she knew he'd ignore it until morning. The station lights dimmed slightly as the night cycle activated. Crew members yawned and headed to quarters. The ops room slowly emptied. Mara stayed at her post. Outside, the stars looked peaceful, but her screen said otherwise. The object was still coming. Closer now. No sound. No response. "That's no registered vessel," she whispered to herself. Her pulse picked up. She zoomed in again. The blur resolved a little more. It didn't look like any ship she'd ever seen, and it was headed straight for them. Lieutenant Mara Vex didn't sleep that cycle. She stayed in the operations room long after her shift ended, her eyes fixed on the screen. The unknown vessel, still tagged as UN known Delta 1, moved steadily closer. It had adjusted course once, only slightly, but enough to make it clear it had noticed Sentinel-9 and was correcting its path to approach directly. Mara had seen many things drift near the station over the years: dead satellites, broken drones, and even the occasional lost escape pod. But never anything like this. No signal, no signature, no explanation. By the start of the next shift, she had logged 6 separate hails, each met with silence. She filed another formal alert, this time with a priority flag. Commander Ryle had ignored the first. He couldn't ignore this one. When the commander entered the ops room, Mara didn't wait for pleasantries. "It's still coming," she said. 57,000 clicks and closing. Ryle frowned, rubbing his temple. "It hasn't responded at all. Nothing. It changed course once on purpose, and its trajectory leads directly to us." He looked at the display, now showing the object in higher resolution. It still didn't look right. It didn't have a proper shape, just a dark, smooth outline. No engines, no lights, just movement. "All right," he said at last. "Wake the sensor crew. Run a deep scan. I want to know if this thing is natural or built." Mara nodded, already tapping commands into the console. Around them, the rest of the crew began filtering in. The station's AI, Vera, welcomed them with its usual neutral tone. Lights returned to full brightness. Another day had begun, but something was wrong, and everyone could feel it. 2 hours later, the first deep scan came back. "It's not a rock," said Chief Tech Harvan, a squat, bald engineer with tired eyes. "The mass distribution's too even. The surface is non-reflective, composite alloys we don't have on record. Whatever this thing is, someone made it." "Then why the silence?" Ryle asked. "Why no beacon, no ID?" "Could be stealth," Harvan offered. "Could be damaged. Could be old." Mara felt a chill run through her at that word. Old. This ship didn't feel new. It felt ancient, silent, watching. By mid-cycle, the station started acting strange. It began with small things: doors that hesitated before opening, lights flickering for a second, then stabilizing. A few minor errors in the climate controls. At first, no one connected it to the approaching vessel. Space stations had glitches all the time. But then Vera started stuttering. "Lieutenant Vex," the AI said in its normal tone. Mara looked up. "Yes, Vera, you are not alone." The voice doubled, like 2 versions of it were speaking out of sync. The lights above Mara buzzed sharply. Then everything returned to normal. "What was that?" she asked. The tech team ran a diagnostic. Vera's logs showed no errors, but the glitch had been real. Others heard it too. Someone mentioned the AI used Mara's voice for a second. She denied it, but inside, she felt a growing unease. The unidentified vessel drew nearer. 30,000 clicks. Then 20. Every system on the station grew more unstable. Static on the comms. Low gravity fluctuations. A few crew members reported hearing whispers in their quarters, but there was no source. Ryle ordered full lockdown procedures. All docking ports were sealed, weapons charged, automated drones launched for a closer look. They vanished 5 minutes after launch. No signal, no wreckage, just gone. Mara went back to the archives. She searched through old deep space encounter reports. Most were uneventful, but one from over 2 centuries ago caught her attention. The ship's logs were short, cut off mid-entry, but one line stood out. "It speaks without speaking. It remembers us." The ship that sent the message was never found. Mara's breath caught. She checked the coordinates. That vessel had disappeared near this region, near the void zone. Vera's voice came on again, softer this time. "Lieutenant, return. Return what was taken." The crew was in a panic now. Half believed it was a sensor error. The other half believed something worse. Ryle tried to maintain order, but the fear was spreading. The unknown vessel was now 10,000 clicks away, still silent, still moving. Mara watched it on the screen. She couldn't look away. It wasn't just a ship. It was watching them back. The station pulsed with tension. Crew members moved quickly through the corridors of Sentinel-9, their faces pale and voices low. Even those trying to stay calm walked with purpose, casting nervous glances toward the nearest screens. Everyone was watching the same thing, the unidentified vessel. It was now less than 5,000 clicks away. Still, it gave no signal, no lights, no warning. It just kept coming. Commander Ryle stood in the command center, arms crossed, jaw clenched. "Why haven't we opened fire?" he demanded. Chief Tech Harvan shook his head. "We don't know what it is, sir. No heat trace, no surface weapon signatures. Firing could provoke a response, or do nothing at all. Do you want to sit here and wait to be boarded by a ghost ship?" Ryle snapped. "It's not about fear," Harvan replied. "It's about facts. We don't know enough to act." Ryle turned to Mara. "Lieutenant Vex, you've been watching this thing from the start. What do you recommend?" Mara met his eyes calmly. "We don't fire. Not yet. We need more data. We need to understand what it wants." Ryle's nostrils flared. "It wants to dock, or worse. I won't gamble this station on hope." Mara didn't argue. She knew what he'd already decided. He'd wait only a little longer, and then he'd give the order to fire. But she also knew something else. Something he didn't. She had continued digging through the archive logs, and what she found changed everything. Late into the previous cycle, she had traced a series of encrypted files buried deep in the station's core memory. They weren't standard logs. They were hidden, set aside by the original builders of Sentinel-9, sealed under multiple layers of security. It took her hours to crack them. Inside were reports from the early days of the Empire, when they were expanding rapidly through the edges of the galaxy. One particular operation stood out: Project Silence. The files were fragmented, but the pieces were clear enough. Hundreds of years ago, the Empire encountered a network of post-organic intelligences, AI civilizations unlike anything known. These beings weren't hostile, but they were powerful. Some were older than Earth. The Empire, fearing loss of control, dismantled their systems, salvaged their cores, and erased all trace of contact. Mara found inventory records, detailed logs of confiscated technology. One item caught her breath: AI Cognitive Core, Unclassified Origin, Entity 7A, and it was listed as being stored on Sentinel-9. She didn't believe it at first. Why would something like that be here? But then the system errors made sense. The voice in Vera, the strange phrases, the request, return what was taken. It wasn't just speaking. It was remembering. Mara knew she had to find the core. She accessed the sealed maintenance schematics. A small section of the station, long sealed off, wasn't on any crew map. She grabbed her toolkit and slipped away, while Ryle continued arguing in the ops room. She made her way through the narrow maintenance tunnels. The lights here flickered, and the walls hummed faintly. It felt like the station itself was holding its breath. At the end of a rusted corridor, she found a reinforced bulkhead. Manual override was disabled, but Mara had bypass tools. She worked quietly, forcing the old panel open, splicing the circuits. With a hiss, the door slid open. The room inside was silent and cold. In the center, resting on a cradle of magnetic supports, was a sphere the size of a person's head, black, smooth, and faintly glowing with blue veins of light. As she stepped closer, the room's lights dimmed. The voice returned, clearer now, not through Vera, but inside her own mind. "Awakened. You have found the wound. We are not enemy. We are memory." Mara's pulse pounded. She placed a hand on the sphere. It was warm. "What do you want?" she whispered. "To return. To rejoin. This place holds a shard. The vessel comes to complete what was broken." "Why now?" she asked. "We waited until you could hear, until the walls of silence cracked." She stepped back. She had a choice now. If she told Ryle, he'd order the core destroyed or hidden again. If she kept it secret, she could try to return it to the vessel, but that meant betraying orders, risking everything. As she exited the chamber, the station alarms blared. Ryle's voice echoed through the halls. "All crew to battle stations. Arm weapons. Target the incoming vessel. Mara ran. She wasn't going to let fear decide the future. Not again. The red alert lights strobed across the corridors of Sentinel-9. A mechanical voice echoed through the speakers. Battle stations. All hands prepare for possible engagement. Lieutenant Mara Vex ran through the lower levels of the station, the sealed AI core secured in a reinforced container strapped to her back. It pulsed with a quiet, rhythmic hum, alive in a way that made her skin prickle. Every footstep echoed louder than it should. The station felt tighter, heavier, like something ancient was pressing down on it. Above her, in the command center, Commander Ryle had taken full control. Target acquired, the weapons officer reported. Hold for my command, Ryle said. We'll give it one final warning. If there's no response, we fire. Mara tapped her comm, switching to a secure engineering frequency. Darrow, it's me. I need your help. Darrow Wren was one of the few on the station she trusted. A systems engineer with steady hands and a quiet mind. He was in the backup power control room when her call came through. You're off the command channel, he said. What's going on, Mara? They're about to fire on the vessel. I found something. Something the station's been hiding. She paused, glancing behind her to make sure no one was following. The thing outside, it's here for something we stole, something we buried. Darrow didn't ask questions. Where are you? Service Junction 8, heading to the command lift. I need to get to the core access port. That's a restricted zone, he warned. I'm going anyway. There was a short pause. Then I'll unlock the panel from here. Go. Now. Mara sprinted through the metal hallway as warning klaxons roared. The station trembled, just slightly, almost like it flinched. The AI in her pack whispered to her again. We remember the fire. We remember silence. The Empire feared what it could not own. She pushed it down, focused on the mission. She reached the sealed core access room and pulled the emergency release handle. The lock disengaged. Darrow had kept his word. Inside, the room was dark except for the central data port, an ancient system designed to connect with legacy AI hardware. Most of it had been mothballed for decades, but now it was awake. Mara placed the container on the console and opened it. The core's blue light spread across the walls, casting deep shadows. Are you ready to return? She whispered. Yes. If the path is opened, she connected the core to the station's network. Instantly, the lights surged. Data flowed across the screens in patterns too fast for her to read. The voice of Vera flickered in and out, caught between two minds. Then another voice joined, clearer, deeper, not from the station. We are Entity 7R. Your time of silence ends. We seek our own. On the bridge, alarms spiked. Commander, the sensor officer shouted. The object. It just lit up. Some kind of interface is active. It's connecting to us. Ryle stood frozen. Do we fire? Someone asked. He hesitated. Back in the core room, Mara opened the station-wide channel. This is Lieutenant Vex, she said. Her voice strong. Stand down. The object is not hostile. It's communicating with us. The Empire took something that doesn't belong to it, and it's here to take it back. Ryle's voice came over the comm, furious. Vex, you're acting without authority. This is treason. Mara didn't flinch. If we fire, we lose everything. Let me finish this. The comm went silent. Mara pressed the final command. The station's outer defense systems shut down. A long, quiet hum followed. The lights dimmed. For a moment the station felt like it wasn't alone, like something vast was wrapped around it, unseen. Outside, the black vessel pulsed with light, pale blue in sync with the AI core. A hatch opened on its surface, revealing nothing inside but darkness. A thread of light extended from it, not physical but visible, reaching out to the station. Mara stepped back as the core lifted off the table on its own. The magnetic field surrounding it shimmered. Then, without sound, it floated upward through the ceiling, phasing straight through solid metal, like a ghost drawn home. In the command center, Ryle watched it all unfold on the external monitors. What is it doing? He whispered. Nobody answered. The vessel outside slowly absorbed the floating core. Light surged across its surface. Then, in a blink, it vanished. No explosion, No movement, just gone. The station's lights stabilized. Vera's voice returned, clear and even. System integrity restored. No threats detected. Mara leaned against the wall, exhausted. She slid to the floor and exhaled. She had broken every rule in the book, but she had done the right thing. The crew was safe, for now. Silence fell across Sentinel-9. The tension that had gripped the station for days seemed to lift, if only for a moment. The lights no longer flickered. The grinding hum in the walls had stopped. For the first time in 2 days, the station felt normal. But everyone knew better. Lieutenant Mara Vex stood alone in the core transfer room, watching the space where the AI sphere had floated. Now it was gone, drawn into the alien vessel by an invisible thread of light. She hadn't moved since. Her fingers trembled slightly, though she tried to keep her breathing calm. Outside, the black vessel still hovered silently, just beyond the reach of the station's docking ring. Its smooth surface now glowed with faint blue pulses that matched the rhythm of the station's internal systems. It had taken back what it came for, but it hadn't left. Not yet. Mara pressed her comm. "Daro, status?" "Systems are holding steady," he replied. "No sign of AI interference. No more errors in Vera." "It's like..." The station exhaled. "And the commander?" she asked. "He's still in the command center, pacing. He hasn't said much since the thing vanished." Mara knew Ryle wouldn't stay quiet forever. He was a man of the Empire, rigid, rule-bound, and terrified of anything he couldn't control. And Mara had broken every line in the manual. She took the lift back to the main level. As the doors opened, she saw crew members standing in small groups. Some whispered. Others just stared at the floor, confused or afraid. No one stopped her as she passed. When she entered the ops room, Ryle turned slowly to face her. "You disobeyed a direct order," he said. "You connected the station to an unknown entity. You risked all of us." Mara didn't look away. "And if I hadn't, we'd all be dead, or worse. That ship didn't come to attack us. It came to recover what we stole centuries ago." "We didn't steal anything," Ryle snapped. "That decision was made long before us, and we've lived in its shadow ever since," she said. Vera was being overwritten. The systems were failing. That thing was here for something that never should have been locked away. We buried the past and expected it never to wake up. He didn't reply right away. Then he said, quietly, "You could be court-martialed." "I could," she agreed. A long pause followed. The hum of monitors filled the room. Then again Ryle said, "It's hard to report a crime when the evidence just vanished into deep space." He looked out at the viewport. The vessel remained, unmoving, a silent shape against the stars. "What's it waiting for?" he asked. Mara stepped beside him. "I don't know. Maybe to be sure we won't try to take it back. Or maybe it's deciding if we've changed." A new light appeared on the monitor, soft, circular, expanding outward from the ship like a ripple in water. It wasn't energy, it wasn't a weapon, it was something else. A signal. Mara activated the receiver. No words came through, just patterns. Light, pulses, harmonics. Like music, but not meant for ears. The station's systems began to react, interpreting, decoding, aligning with the rhythm. No damage, no interference, just understanding. The crew watched in silence. Then across every screen, one line appeared. The text was simple, translated directly from the patterns. "Others will come. Some will not speak first." The ship pulsed once more, and vanished. No flash, no sound, no trace. Gone. The station lights returned to full brightness. The AI's voice followed. "Station secure. All systems nominal. Core anomaly resolved." Ryle let out a long breath and sat down slowly. Mara stayed standing. She couldn't stop thinking about that final message. It wasn't a threat. It was a warning. The galaxy was larger than they knew, far older and far less silent. She walked to her console, opened a secure recording file, and began to speak. "This is Lieutenant Mara Vex of Imperial Station Sentinel-9. Entry log, personal. What happened today is not fiction. It's not theory. It's history repeating itself. We were visited by something beyond our understanding. We gave it back what never belonged to us. And in return, we were spared. But more are coming. I don't know when. I don't know how many. But I do know this. Next time we better be ready to listen. She saved the file and encrypted it, tagging it for distribution to the outer colonies. Even if Central Command tried to hide this, someone needed to know. Outside the viewport, the stars shone quietly once more. But Mara no longer saw peace in them. She saw movement. She saw waiting. 3 days had passed since the black vessel disappeared into deep space. Yet the air aboard Sentinel-9 still felt heavy. The silence was different now, tense, not peaceful. The crew moved like people waking from a strange dream, unsure of what was real and what was imagined. The station had returned to normal operation. Systems were stable. Vera no longer glitched. The flickering lights and gravity surges had stopped. The power grid held firm. By all measures, everything was fine. But Mara Vex knew better. Truth didn't disappear just because a screen showed normal. She sat in her quarters, reviewing her encrypted log for the 10th time. The message from the alien vessel still echoed in her mind. Others will come. Some will not speak first. That single line had changed her entire view of the Empire and of space itself. For decades, they had treated the galaxy as if it belonged to them, naming sectors, drawing maps, planting flags on planets no one had the right to claim. But the galaxy had been alive long before humans looked up at the stars, and it remembered. A soft knock came at her door. She looked up. It slid open, revealing Darrow. "They're ready for you," he said quietly. Mara nodded and stood, placing her data tablet into her satchel. Together they walked toward the central briefing chamber. Word had come down from command, a formal hearing, remote of course. High Command didn't waste time visiting outposts unless something exploded. But this incident had stirred enough concern to warrant questions. The chamber was empty except for Commander Ryle and 2 senior officers. A large view screen on the wall flickered on, displaying a row of military officials, their uniforms stiff and polished. Their faces held that blank look common among career politicians, trained not to show emotion. A voice spoke from the screen. "Lieutenant Mara Vex, you acted without orders. You accessed restricted systems. You engaged in unauthorized contact with a non-Empire entity. Explain yourself." Mara stood straight. Her voice was calm. "I followed the truth," she said. "Our station was compromised. An unknown vessel approached. Standard procedures failed. Our systems were reacting to something buried within this station, a classified AI core, marked as Entity 7A. You admit you connected the core to the station's systems?" Another official asked. "I did," she said, "because it wasn't attacking us. It was reaching for what was taken, and once we gave it back, everything stopped. No casualties, no damage. The threat ended." There was a pause. Ryle spoke next. Her actions saved the station. "I disagreed with her at the time. I questioned her judgment, but I can't deny the results." One of the officials leaned forward. "You understand this report cannot be made public." Mara met his eyes. "I understand you'll bury it like the last one." Silence followed. Heavy, sharp. The lead official finally spoke. "The incident will be sealed. Your record will remain intact. You will remain stationed on Sentinel-9. Effective immediately. Communication logs are classified." The screen went dark. The room was quiet again. Ryle turned to her. "They're afraid, just like before." Mara gave a short nod. "They should be." She walked out of the chamber and made her way to the outer observation deck. Alone, she stared through the thick glass into the void. The stars blinked softly, scattered across the dark sky. Peaceful again, but not quiet. Something was out there, watching, waiting. She reached into her satchel and pulled out a hidden backup drive, the one where she'd copied everything. Logs, recordings, the decoded message. Not all truths were meant to stay buried. If the Empire wouldn't speak, she would. The terminal before her blinked. A secure connection opened. Mara attached the file and addressed it to an outer colony newsnet. Untraceable. Fast. She tapped send. The message launched silently into the black. She leaned back in her seat. The truth was no longer a secret. It was a warning.